Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a recap over my most anticipated reads of 2022. So I did a part one of this back in like September, October-ish. So I will leave that video linked to my cards and down in my description in case you guys are interested. But the first part of this video would just be a real quick recap over that video. And then I will move into just talking about the books that I still wasn't able to get to. Then I will move into talking about the books that I was able to get to in the second part of the year, just going over a basic summary and giving you guys my star rating. A majority of those books I have already talked about, whether that was in one of my recent reads videos or I have maybe a dedicated review video for, so I will have those associated videos linked as well. One of the books I have not had a chance to talk about yet just because I just got done reading it, and then another one I'm still in the process of reading it, but I'll still kind of touch on it. Like I said, I'll have those videos linked, and then at the very end of the video I will just kind of let you guys know how I felt about my most anticipated reads overall. So we will go ahead and get started. So just jumping right into the recap, I had 26 anticipated reads in 2022. I would have had 27, but one of my most anticipated reads got moved into the early part of this year, and that was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And so in the first part of the year, I was able to actually read 11 out of the 26 books that I was looking forward to. I ended up DNFing 2 of those books, one of them being The Book of Night, which was an adult fantasy, and then the other one being How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu, which is a adult dystopian. Like I said, both of those I ended up DNFing, did not enjoy them. I really did not enjoy The Book of Night, but How High We Go in the Dark, that one was just more so not for me, and I went into that one with the wrong expectations, and I actually ended up giving that one away to someone who I thought would enjoy that one more than I did. There were 2 books from the first part of the year that I was looking forward to initially, but I decided that I'm not sure if I'm ever probably going to read this one. The first one being This Might Hurt by Stephanie Warble. This is more of a adult mystery. I do own another book by this author. I can't think of the name at this point. I do actually own this one in e-copy, but I will probably read it at some point. It's just one that's not at the top of my list. The other one is Tell Me an Ending by Joe Harkin, and this is, if I can remember correctly, an adult science fiction. I thought I was really looking forward to this one, but I have not seen too many people talk about it, and the reviews for this one have not been that great. So I just got moved further and further down my list. So at this point, if I just happen to come across it, fine, I'll pick it up, but it's just not really a big priority for me at this time. So I still have 4 books that I have not been able to get to quite yet. 2 of them I still have like in a pile of books that I'm hoping to just pick up really soon. So hopefully I can pick them up soon. So the first one is Gleanings, which is Stories from the Ark of the Scythe by Neil Shusterman. It's the 4th book technically in the Ark of the Scythe series. This was really one of my most anticipated releases. Like I said, I still have it in my pile of books that I want to pick up like next. So I just have not gotten around to it because I just am in the middle of some other things, but it's a short story collection. Hopefully I can just pick it up soon. The next one is The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John. This is a adult dystopian. I don't really have a reason of why I have not picked this one up yet. It's just one that I tried it on audio. I did not like the audio. It just was not vibing with me. I was just waiting until there was a perfect time for me to just pick this up physically. I just haven't had a moment to do so. So it's just, like I said, in my pile of hopefully I can pick this up soon. So hopefully it'll be one of the ones that I pick up soon. Next up, we have A Girl Forgotten by Karen Slaughter. So this is, I'm going to say, more of an adult mystery. And the reason why I have not gotten to this one yet is because when I put this on my most anticipated reads list, I did not realize that you had to read Pieces of Her, I think. Yeah, I didn't know this was like the second part of pieces of her, and I have not read that one yet. So until I read that one, I can't pick this one up yet. So this one is just on hold until I read the other book first. And then the last one we have is The Honeys by Ryan LaSala, and this is a young adult, I think, horror novel. And I mentioned this one in my book haul that I did back in December. And I said that I was probably most likely putting this one off until like more of the summertime, just because this is giving me like a summertime vibes. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. So that's why I have not picked this one up. So then all of the books that I'm going to talk about next are ones that I have already read in the second part of the year in 2022. So these are kind of going to be quick reviews, just because, like I said, a majority of these I have already talked about somewhere on my channel. So like I said, I will have these linked if you guys want like my full in-depth thoughts on these. So we will go ahead and get started. I will start with the one that I DNF'd, and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is a adult fantasy historical fiction novel, we're gonna call it, and I DNF'd this one. I have talked about this in several places, in a recent reads, in my DNF video. Maybe that's the only two places. So I just have both of those videos linked. But those for sure are the two places that I talked about this one. I mean, overall, it just was not a book that is for me. I just was not vibing with the overall story. In the beginning, it kind of grabbed my attention. I liked what the author did as far as like talking about language, how it like evolves over time. I just felt like in the almost 300 pages that I read, it just felt very repetitive and there was no plot. I thought that there was going to be, the story was going to revolve a little bit more around the magic, and that's not the case with that story. So it just wasn't a story that was for me. So like I said, I ended up DNFing it. I actually ended up giving the book away to a friend who I thought would enjoy it way more than I did. So I'm really curious to see what their thoughts are once they get around to it. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. So next up we have is Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. So this is the one that I had said before that I was still in the middle of reading. So I have actually been reading this since the beginning of December, and one would probably wonder why I'm still forcing myself to read this. And I have a lot of mixed emotions around this one because I can't tell if I like it. I can't tell if I dislike it. I literally, I don't know. I have so many thoughts. I've tabbed this up. I don't know how I'm feeling about this one at all. There was a point in time where I was going to DNF it, but I got to a point where I wanted to just keep reading to see what happened. I mean, technically, I guess I could Google to see how it ended, but I just want to read it for myself. I'm just all over the place with how I feel about this book. This is one that I plan on doing a individual review for because I just have so many thoughts about this one. And it is one of those books that I just keep going back to other people's reviews to see if I'm like in line with everybody else, but I'm not. So I just have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of notes. Yeah, eventually one day I will get done with this. I think I only have like 200 pages left. So hopefully I will be able to get done with this soon. But if you don't know what Ordinary Monsters is about, so it's an adult fantasy, and it's about this institution that takes in these kids that has these special talents. So these kids basically have these magical powers, and you learn that something has happened at this institute with one of these kids in particular, and there is this guy that is after one of these kids in particular. And throughout the course of the story, you kind of get the backstory on this institute, you get the backstory on these children and why these children are brought to this institute. And then you kind of get the story on why this one particular man is after this one particular child. So that is the basic premise of this story. And like I said, my thoughts are all over the place on how I feel about this, but I am determined to finish this book. And then I will figure out on whether or not I should have probably DNF'd it, but I'm determined to finish this. Next up, we have 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and this is a adult mystery thriller. And so if you don't know who Holly Jackson is, she is the author of the really popular young adult series A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I absolutely freaking adored. So when I heard that she was coming out with a new book, I knew that I was going to add it to my most anticipated reads for last year, and here we are. So I do have a individual review for this book, so I will leave that one linked. So really quickly, this one just follows a group of 6 friends. A few of them are in high school, a couple of them are in college. They are on their spring break and they are headed down to, I think it was like the Gulf Shores on an RV. Their RV ends up breaking down and they get stuck in the woods. And while they're out in the woods, someone is shooting up the RV and they realize that there is a sniper out there trying to kill them. They are put in contact with the sniper. The sniper lets them know that one of the 6 of them has a secret that the sniper wants. The sniper knows which one of them the secret is from. So the sniper tells them that until one of them tells them the secret that they want, they are not going to let them off of this RV. And if one of them tries to leave this RV, then the sniper is going to kill them. So we just follow these 6 characters as they are trying to figure out which one of them has this secret that this sniper wants. I really enjoyed this. I knew that I probably would. I really enjoyed that first series by Holly Jackson. In the beginning, it was a little questionable whether or not I was going to enjoy this because it was a little slow. I was kind of losing hope a little bit, but it turned itself around and I did really end up enjoying this one, and I gave it a 4 stars. So if you want my full thoughts on this one, I will have that video linked. But yes, I would highly suggest picking this one up if you have not. So then the next one that I have is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. And this is a adult mystery. It follows our main character by the name of Hannah. She is informed one day that the person that she has helped put away in jail for the murder of her best friend from college when they were all at Oxford has died. And then she is made aware by this journalist that they don't believe that he was the person that actually killed her best friend, April. And so now her world is like shook. She doesn't know what to do. She's questioning everything that she thought was true from when she was back in college. So this is told in 2 different timelines. We have the present with Hannah trying to figure out and talk to this journalist and some of her friends trying to put together the events of the night of her friend's April's death. And then we have the past. And so we are kind of seeing Hannah and April when they first met at Oxford because they were roommates. So we kind of see how their friendship blossomed and how their friend group came together, and then we see everything leading up to the night of April's murder. And so we are jumping back and forth between the 2 timelines. And so I ended up giving this one a 3 stars. I enjoyed this for the most part. It's definitely a slow burn mystery. I really liked how Ruth Ware was able to make you suspect all of the friends at one point in this story. You never really knew who did what. It really made you question everything. I did like the twist at the end, although I think I didn't figure it out, but I think some people probably would by the end of the story. But I do think that the pacing could have been a little bit better. It was kind of slow and kind of dragged at certain points. And I do think that Miss Ware spent some time giving us some details and introduce some characters that maybe weren't needed and served no purpose. But overall, I did enjoy this one. And she has another book that is coming out this year that I'm really looking forward to. So like I said, I gave this one 3 stars and I did enjoy it. So next up we have Amari and the Great Game, which is the follow-up to Amari and the Night Brothers. And this is a middle grade fantasy. And since I don't want to spoil anything for this one, I would just kind of give a brief synopsis over the first one. So in the the first one, Amari and the Knight brothers, it follows our main character, Amari. She lives in our world, but she ends up finding out that there is a magical secret world that not everybody knows about, but she can see. And she realizes that she has these magical powers that she did not realize she has. And so she gets invited to like this summer camp, I believe, but it's really called the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, where she can learn about her powers. And we also know that her older brother Quentin has gone missing. And so while she's at this Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, she tries to find out where her brother is and why he went missing. And while she's there, she's also learning a lot about herself, a lot about friendship, a lot about trying to trust other people. And it's just a wholesome story. And so when this one starts, it's just a straight follow-up from Amari and the Knight brothers. And it's a whole nother adventure that involves a great game. It's more about Amari trying to trust other people, and it's testing her friends and their loyalty and testing friendships. And it, like I said, it's just a nice, wholesome story. If you guys have not checked out any of the books in this Amari series, I suggest that you guys do. I love this. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars. In the way that it ends, I cannot wait to pick up the 3rd book in this series. So then next I picked up The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. And this is a young adult horror novel, and this is a retelling of Carrie. So this one follows our main character by the name of Maddie. She is a high school senior. She's a mixed girl, but she is passing off as a white student until one day in gym class, they're outside running. Her hair gets wet. It turns into like this afro, and everyone, white students, black students, teachers, everyone realizes that she is mixed. No one realized that before. And so because of that, it brings about a lot of racial tensions within the school. So the white students feel a certain type of way about her having tried to hide her race. The black students feel a certain type of way about her trying to hide her race. And so it brings up a lot of tensions within the school. And so because of that, the school is trying to rectify the situation, and they would normally have segregated proms. So they would have a black prom and a white prom. And to try to calm everything down, they hold their first interracial prom. And when Maddie goes to the prom, just like in Carrie fashion, some things go down and the story kind of like takes off from there. It's told in like 2 different styles. So we are following Maddie and everything that's going down at the school, but we're also getting this told from like a podcast format, interview style format, articles, and them trying to figure out what happened to Maddie and did some supernatural stuff take place during the prom. I ended up giving this one a 3 stars. I liked the conversation around the racism that took place at the school. I liked the conversation around how the white students felt, how the black students felt, and just the racial tensions in the school around Maddie trying to hide her race. What I did not like about this book was just how it was just a direct copy of Carrie. I wish the author could have done something different with the story and made it a little bit more unique, because it was just literally Carrie with some racism thrown in there. So I wish it was just a little bit different. I also didn't like some of the characters in here. I didn't like her, I don't know, her friend Kenny that turned into her boyfriend. He was a little bit annoying. There was just some aspects in here I just did not like. I go more in depth in one of the reviews that I did for it, but I just did not like it. And then at the end of this, it just talked about the racism. It really drove home the racism part, we talked about it the entire book. Like, I don't think you needed to then explain to us again that this book was about the racism. Like, we got it from page 1. We got it. We understood it. I don't think anybody could miss that was the point of this book. This was definitely a step up from the first book I read from Tiffany D. Jackson, which was Grown, because I was not a fan of that book. So I did like this one better, but it was not my favorite. It was not on the hype train with this one like everyone else, unfortunately. I wanted to be, but I am not. but this was fine. I gave it 3 stars. And then the last one that I have is Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams, which is a adult romance. This is the one that I have not talked about anywhere else yet. And so this one follows 2 main characters. We have RJ, who is a lawyer, but she also officiates weddings on the side, which could kind of be a conflict of interest with her job because she's a divorce lawyer. And then we have Lear, who is who used to be a event player for the pro football league, but now he helps his cousin out with planning weddings because he got fired from his job. And so because of that, RJ and Lear have kind of joined forces to help Lear's cousin help plan weddings. So at the beginning of this, Lear and RJ have like a really bad encounter with each other, so they automatically don't like each other. And so while they help plan these different weddings, they have kind of had like this rivalry with each other, and they're always competitive with each other. And then they start up this friends with benefits kind of situation, and then they start to develop feelings for each other. But RJ is really standoffish because of her past relationship, and then the same thing with Lear. And then the story kind of takes off from there. I gave this one 3 stars. I liked the competitive nature and the rivalry in their relationship in the beginning, and like the whole friends with benefits thing. But after a while, it just really didn't make sense to me on why, for RJ's part, why she just could not like open up to Lear, and why she just did not want to take the next step and be in a relationship. Once you get into the story, it really made sense on why he was hesitant to want to start a relationship, but it did not make sense for her and why she didn't want to be in a relationship. And I felt like the story was really focused on why she did not want to be in a relationship. It almost would have made more sense if it would have focused more on him and why he didn't want to be in a relationship, but it wasn't like that. So I just didn't like that. And it was really disappointing because I've really liked Denise's other stuff. And if you're not familiar with her, she is the author that wrote How to Fail at Flirting, which I gave that one 5 stars. That was the very first book that I had read from her. And then I feel like this was probably one of her more popular ones, but it's The Fastest Way to Fall. I gave that one 4 stars, and now I'm giving this one 3 stars. So the more I pick up her books, the lower it seems like the ratings are becoming. So I don't know. This one was just literally okay. I really liked it in the beginning, but the more I read, the more I did not like it. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I did give this one 3 stars. So those were all of my most anticipated reads for 2022. I mean, overall, I thought that they were pretty good. I mean, out of 26 books, I still only had 4 that I didn't get to, 2 that I just don't think I want to get to, and then I only ended up DNFing 3 of them. So, I mean, that's not bad. I was hoping that out of all of those, I would have, rated a lot of them higher than I did. A majority of them were rated either 3 or 4 stars, so that's not bad. I only got one 5-star out of all of those books, and that was The Hacienda by Isabel Ciennes, and that actually made it in my top books of 2022. So I mean, that's a plus. One of my most anticipated reads made it into my top books of the year. So that was a win. So those were all of my most anticipated reads for 2022. I will have part 1 linked down below, as well as any of my reviews for the books that I have talked about in this video. I will have those linked below as well. And that is all that I have for you guys. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.